Hey guys, what is going on? So today I want to get back to doing these videos as well, and you know, have some fun with them. And like I said in the last video, it's honestly easy. Like the last live stream, it's honestly, I think, better for an Aquarius to go for their own way of feeding rather than their the common way to feed, because obviously when we feed our fish, we feed them either way too much, way too little. um my girlfriend's tank is um she feeds her fish a lot, so her fish are chunky. Um, and that doesn't per se um, kill her fish at all, or that's not unhealthy for her fish. That's just the way she feeds, and the fish are fine. You know, the fish adapt to the way you feed them to a point. So, what I mean by that is your fish. Now, if you have a tank, and this is why everybody has issues with their aquariums when it comes to feeding, overfeeding, underfeeding. So, fish adapt to their environment. That means they also adapt to the way you feed. So, per se, I can have a tank that is crystal clear, and I could put the fish in. Hang on a second. So I could put the fish in a tank that is crystal clear, right? So I get molly per se, right? And mollies are very hardy. And I could feed it, once week, once or twice a week, right? And the fish do fine, right? But once I add that, okay, so what I'm trying to say is, like, my girlfriend feeds her fish a lot. That does not matter to her fish because her fish are used to it. Her fish adapt to it. Your fish will adapt to the way you feed. And what I mean is, like, okay, you don't feed a small, tiny fry the same food you would a bigger molly or a bigger cherry barb or a bigger platy, hyphen platy. Um, they're all different sizes, right? So, how much is okay to feed your fish? And how much should or little should you feed them depending on yourself. Um, Honestly, when it comes down to feeding fish, it could either, there's a whole bunch of different things. Like, people say you should feed them foods that they find mostly in the wild, which is more algae prepared foods. People say that you should feed them foods that are more that are regular, so they're not more like there's natural fish flakes, and then there's fish flakes for live bears, and then there's fish flakes for shrimp, and then there's fish flakes for glowfish, and then there's fish flakes for this, there's flakes for that. There's fish flakes, there's pellets, there's all these different foods. Now, I'm not saying don't feed them what they prefer to eat. I'm saying feed them what you want to feed them. If you want to go the more route that people go to, which is the more algae-based foods. Let's say for a live bear, those are your live bearing pellet foods. Then do that. If you want to go more of the flake diet, then do that. I've had not mollies. I had mollies and guppies, not like the pellet food of the live bearing fish. And then I've had I think it's a honey gourami, go crazy for the pellet food, and they're not even a live bear. So, and I just got them recently too. So I got a sailfin. I think it's the same as the thing, but it's all gold. It's like a gold sailfin or a. Sorry, you're on early in the morning. It's either a 24 gold carrot sailfin molly, or it's either a whatever the panda molly. It's either a panda molly or a gold molly or a 24 karat molly. More likely it's a gold molly. So if you look at gold molly, it actually comes up tail color and stuff, versus a panda molly, which is black and gold, and this thing has no black on it. And what I mean by panda molly is this. So this is a lyre tail panda molly there. And honestly, I mean, I'm not saying like every aquarist is wrong in the way they feed their fish. I'm just saying, like, it's an animal, so it's gonna adapt to your. I've had my tank where I do water changes every 2 weeks. My fish are fine. Now back to that. Like, I can feed my fish, okay, every week, same pellet food. And I've fed my fish actually goldfish flakes. I've seen more growth with the tropical fish flakes than I have with goldfish flakes. So there is a nutrition value that these fish do. Yeah, tropical fish flakes and the live bearing pellets. Would I feed them goldfish flakes if I was dire need to? Yes. It's not gonna make a difference. It's not gonna hurt the fish, but in the long run, it will hurt your fish. So if you're feeding your fish goldfish flakes, it's not gonna give them the diet that they need to survive. If you're feeding your fish, I don't know, flake food, and you're overfeeding them, and they're just like chunky and fat, and they're living fine, then you're okay. I mean, it's not the best for the fish, but it's what you can provide. So it's not. And I'm not talking about overfeeding your tank every day. I'm just like talking about if your Danios have this thing where they get fat. So zebra Danios will, if they eat a lot, they'll be chunky. I don't know how true that is. I haven't run into that yet, but we believe it's the female fish and not the male fish of the Danio species. Hence, my girlfriend fed her killifish. One of them got very skinny and ate as well, but the other one was nice and chunky. And I'm like, okay, why? So I fed her fish. The fish didn't want to eat as much as it looked, fat. So, A, it could be fat, and B, it doesn't want to eat, or C, it could be a female. Looked at the pictures on the internet. exactly female. So definitely look out what fish you exactly have, and that's easy to do by waiting until they get full grown, and then looking up on the internet. Okay, how are my fish supposed to look? If the fish looks like that, then you're feeding them the right amount of food. If you do overfeed, though, I'll say this: if you do overfeed, do more word changes. So what I mean is do a word change every Friday of every week, or every Saturday of every week if they have free. Because that's gonna build up in your aquarium, and if you overfeed, great. But if you own guppies, or if you own hatchet fish don't go to the bottom, so that food's gonna rot on the bottom of the tank. And if you do, let's see, but if you have mollies, guppies, like I overfeed my fish because I want my fish, I want to have pretty fish, right? Like pretty mollies and guppies. And my thing is, the only way that I do that is by feeding my fish more and giving my fish a varied diet. So I feed my fish tropical fish flakes as well as pellet foods. You guys see that in the lives, and they love it. I'm not running into any issues by overfeeding my fish. I just ran into issues of aggression with some of my mollies, but trying to figure that out as well. But you also want to. So I also ran into another guy that was like, "Oh well, you shouldn't. You should clean your filter out. You should clean the filter tube and everything." Look, my fish aren't dying. They are okay. They are dying, but they're not dying for that reason. They're not coming up to the top of the tank, breathing heavy, doing anything like that. What I meant, and I'm not mad or anything, but what I meant by that was, it's more okay. So you want to feed your fish food. You want to feed your fish food, right? But you also want to have them naturally eat anything in the aquarium. So like you want to have them eat algae. You want to have them eat. You don't want a crystal clear tank, especially for mollies because they graze. You don't want a crystal clear tank for guppies. You don't want a crystal clear tank for any fish, because in the wild, that's what they eat. Yes, the filter runs better, but why would you want to clean a filter if there is a chance that that algae on that filter is benefiting the water in some way, somehow? I mean, a minute level of, it's like, there is a chance it could be not helping your aquarium at all. But if that does fall off, my fish will eat it, my snails will eat it. So do I want to pull it off? No. Have it grow. There is a beneficial part of it that I believe that most people do not. Like, I don't clean my filter. There's bacteria in your filter. There's bacteria in the tube. There's bacteria on the water flow that you guys have in your aquarium. So why would I clean that off? There's bacteria on. Okay, so let me ask you this. If you're not believing me right now in this video, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying like in this way. I just thought of this. So think of this as a natural environment. If you're having a natural environment in your aquarium, you have algae, you have decorations, you have everything in your aquarium that you need, right? And then you have the extra stuff that shouldn't be, like biofilm, everything like that, right? Think of it this way. I have snails in my aquarium. My snails love going in my filter. So if they do climb up on my filter, then they have something to eat. Also, biofilm does grow on those plants. Whether or not it's helping the aquarium, no one will know. But take that away, and there's this biofilm in your aquarium. Or put that in your tank somehow, and there's also less biofilm in your aquarium because you just took that thing off your filter, which is providing biofilm. Hence, the minute stuff that does come off that sponge is going into your aquarium and benefiting your aquarium as well. So, hence, you running the water is going through that too. So, there's nutrition in the water as well. So if you run a filter with stuff on it, I'm not saying run a dirty filter. I'm saying run a healthy filter. If it's not hurting your aquarium, if your fish are not doing anything that like would be anything, like if they're not breathing heavy, if they're not eating, if they're not, obviously but if they're not doing anything that they're not supposed to be doing, basically, like if they're not eating, if they're not, if they're lethargic, if they're this, if they're that, then don't change it. The more you change your aquarium, the worse it's going to be. I used to change my aquarium around constantly. I used to put, things in my aquarium. Change this, change that, change that. And I'm like, eventually, why am I doing this? It makes no sense. Because algae, biofilm, and if you do get algae, there's biofilm on that algae as well. So growing algae in your aquarium is benefit, being that you have biofilm on the algae, you have biofilm on the leaf, you have biofilm on the decorations, you have biofilm on the glass of your tank, you have biofilm everywhere in your aquarium. And shrimp benefit from that, fish do benefit from that as well. It's natural for the environment. It's not natural for algae to be on a filter, but think of your filter as part of the environment. If your filter was underwater, algae would be growing on it. So what's the difference between algae growing on a filter and algae growing in the aquarium? And you leaving the algae versus not leaving the algae. You don't have to clean your filter, guys. You don't have to. Obviously you have to clean your filter eventually. But don't overchange stuff just because somebody says, oh, you have to clean your filter every 2 weeks. Oh, you have to do this every 2 weeks. Oh, you have to do that every 2 weeks. Oh, you have to... I've had my... somebody tell me, oh, this fish will do... I went to Petco, and they said, oh, this fish is fine, it's healthy, whatever. I go back the next week, the same tank has a mouth fungus that I ran into. I'm like, why? Why did you tell me this fish will do fine? Why did you tell me this fish if you didn't test it? I have fish from a provider that literally does that. He will literally take fish from a provider, kill one. Okay, so let's say he'll buy 20 fish from a provider, or 60, and he'll kill one just because, to see if that fish has any illnesses. And he'll go into worms, he'll go into any illnesses that the fish can have. Does it have any illnesses? And because of that, he has healthier fish. Because of that, his fish are surviving. Because of that, his fish are doing well. And they are a lot more healthier than a fish that is going from tank to tank to tank to tank to tank. So if you take, that's why mollies per se, like I have Liberty mollies that are from New Mexico, or somewhere around there. I've had sailfin mollies from Florida. You know what the major difference is? Besides the salt water that the guy put him in, this guy, Florida Pets, sent me wild fish. They died. This guy sent me wild fish, tank bred wild fish. So he does not get the fish from the wild. He gets tank bred wild fish, which are a lot more hardier than wild fish and a lot more adaptable. I would say even a lot more adaptable than a tank bred fish, like an aquarium fish. But also, you do not want to. What was I gonna say? You do not want to, you know, add anything into the aquarium that would cause your fish to not eat, or that would cause your fish to not want to eat, or a fish that's highly aggressive, food demanding. What I mean by that is aggressive eaters, tetras, barbs, mollies tend to be on the aggressive side. Anything that's more of a shiner eater, like gourami, I do it because I know how to feed that. But if you don't have that, and you don't know, and you're just starting out, don't mix aggressive eaters like Danios, white cloud minnows, well, not so much white cloud minnows, but Danios, giant Danios, anything like that on the Danio side of things, anything on the Molly side of things is aggressive eater, for the most part. But, like, unless you know how to do that, then I would recommend doing it that way. So, like, if you know how to feed these fish, like, honestly, the more natural you make your tank. So, I make my tank to be in a way where I have more bottom feeders than I do top dwelling fish. Why is that? I like to overfeed my fish. I like to make them nice and healthy, but not overfeed them. So I don't throw a million pellets in there and have them eat that, or have that fall to the bottom and then throw a million more pellets in there. I overfeed them to a point where they're well fed. So that's not technically overfeeding them, but it would be for some people. Because not, like, I take my time and I feed my fish. I feed the top dwelling fish. I make sure everybody's nice and chunky, just in case I miss the day. And guess what? The way I feed my fish, I overfeed, but I do water changes every week, which dilutes the purpose of pellets being in the aquarium. And those fish that I do overfeed, that eat the food, they don't get overweight. They lose the food. they process the food within a day. So I don't overfeed. I overfeed enough for the fish to live its life, to give it a little more protein, to give it a little more food just in case I forget to feed my fish. Which is good to do too, but if you're feeding your fish every day on a daily basis, I probably wouldn't feed them or feed them, but like I said, that's up to you guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I love making these videos for you guys, and for the people that I mentioned, no hate, just like, it's different ways of feeding our fish. Like, we all as aquarists have different ways of feeding our fish. It's just the way that we think, and then we're like, oh no, you should feed your fish this way. Oh no, and then that causes a bunch of confusion for the fish owner that's trying to learn how to feed your fish. And then that often ends up having their fish die over time, versus you feeding your fish the way you feed your fish and your fish survive. So go with your gut rather than, read online, find out what you think, ask people, but don't ask a million people, how do I feed my fish? Because then that's going to lead to, oh, you feed your fish this way, you feed your fish this way, you feed your fish this way. Feed your fish aren't going to die if you overfeed them. Feed your fish many different foods, well, besides a smaller fish. But if you have a larger fish like a molly, they're not going to die if you overfeed them once or twice. Feed your fish, see how your individual fish does, and then go from there. If your fish is overeating, feed it less. If your fish is undereating, feed it more. If your fish is eating just right, or like that nice chunky belly, you don't need to feed it more. You're feeding it perfect. So, thank you guys for watching this video. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And no hate to anybody that I did mention on the way how they feed their fish or what they mentioned in my lives. It's just something that I had to bring up because it's like, not bad in a way, it's just their way of thinking, which is good. Versus having a million people overfeed their mollies or cherry barbs and having the cherry barbs die. It's better to underfeed than it is overfeed. It's better to feed a little too much rather than underfeed a little or a lot. So, what I'm saying in general, don't go with what people say. Go with your gut. If you do overfeed your fish one day, they're not going to die. Goldfish don't have a stomach. They eat everything. Like, I can walk out like an hour later and my fish are begging for food. I fed my fish twice, honestly. And I'm probably going to feed them again this morning because, I just want to make sure they're nice and fed. And I'm feeding them. Like, you want to make your fish fat, but you don't want to overfeed your fish. It's just a nice balance of things. That's what generally boils down to, a nice balance of how much your fish eat, what's your tank for, are your fish comfortable, how much are they eating, what are they eating, and everything like that. So I hope this video helped you feed your fish. I love making these videos as much as I love hearing you guys love watching them. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video recording.